Hey, this is Adam with Jackson Egg Company, and I wanted to explain how and why we set up our ventilation for layers. And you can copy this if you want to kind of copy the system that we're doing here with the greenhouses. So let's get to it. First off, as you can see, I put in 3 fans into each barn. I got those new from Farmer Boy Ag. They're 36-inch fans. I think that's 36,000 CFMs per minute. And that should be enough for my size barn, which is a 24 by 120 foot greenhouse. So you can see I've got 2 fans on the outside there that are both running at the moment. The one on the inside is not, and the 2 on the outside are set up on temperature controls, so they will make sure that it doesn't get too hot, or at least try to minimize that and get as much airflow as we can. Because if it rises to 90 degrees outside, then we're just trying to get some wind movement over top of the birds to keep them cool that way. But we can't really lower the temperature any more than what the outside temperature is. The inside fan then is on a timer, and I'll show that later. But the timer is because we always want to maintain a minimum ventilation. If you don't have a minimum ventilation going, then the birds can suffocate because they need good fresh air, and they produce ammonia and all those kinds of things. So it will run no matter what the temperature is on a set schedule. So each one, whenever you wire this, each fan should have its own breaker, and that's just a safety thing, because if they were all on the same breaker, then if it was to get tripped, then you lose all of your fans, and that's definitely no good. Again, the birds could suffocate or whatever. So put each one on its own breaker and own direct line. That's just safer. So that's the fans. Then what I did, I've got a temperature control right here. Let's see here. That is, you can see it real good. K-control temperature controller, and I can try to put links on these. But this is just a temperature control that I have wired up so that I can adjust whatever temperature that I want it to. And again, this one and another one runs the 2 outside fans to try to keep it cool. Now, as you can see, I kind of have it hanging pretty low because you want these to be at bird height, so that they, if it was way up high, then that's not as good of a temperature gauge. You want it to be cool for the birds, not way up high. So try to keep that low to the ground. That was at the 2/3 position of the barn, and then this one I didn't do as good of a job of getting it low, but anyways, that's at the 1/3 position of the barn. That controls the other, they each control their own fan. So then my timer fan is set up over here, and what I used for it is a DG 180A torque brand. Yeah, there it is. And I'll have a link on that as well, how you can get it. This one, don't pay attention to this wiring because it's not quite wired correctly. I will have how you set up the wiring in a different video, and hopefully have it linked below. So this one though, what you do is, for the minimum ventilation, you set it up for what I'm going with right now is 5 minutes on, 2 minutes off, and I need to do some calculations to make sure that is for sure enough minimum ventilation. But you always want to have like a certain amount of CFMs moving through the barn, and since fans, they just kick on, they go full blast all the time, or else they're off, then that's why we set them on timers, so that it gets enough air movement going through and then stops for a little while, and that way we ensure the correct amount of ventilation, and we don't overdo it or anything. So that is in brief how I set up the ventilation. Oh, and over here, this is how I did my air inlets on the greenhouse. Ideally, you would have shutters here, shutters with motors actually on them. And anyways, the shutters to me just cost too much on my budget and everything, because you would have to you'd have to have them on motors that were like geared with the fans, so that they would open up whenever the fans turn on and then close whenever the fans turn off. Otherwise, you don't get the air in. Those cost about, if I remember right, about $250 or something like that per shutter, and I'd have to have like 6 of them, 2 for each fan. So I didn't find that to be cost effective, and I just made these where it's open all the time, so maybe it does let in air whenever I don't want it to, but I thought it was more cost effective, and just these awnings to keep the rain out. But as you can see, I put chicken wire over it so that the birds can't get out. So also, whenever you are calculating your air inlets, make sure that you have enough space. I don't remember the exact calculation at the moment, but it is basically double the space of your fans down there. However big that your fans put in double that amount for the air inlet space. So hope that was helpful, and keep watching for other videos and more information. Thanks. Also, if you have any questions, comments, just hit the comments below. I'll pay attention and try to answer them as I can. And if I don't get a link up, or you just have a big question, tell me, and I'll try to make another video about it. And be sure to subscribe. Thanks.